PinDude here from VintagePinballStore.com. What we're going to be talking about in this video is doing playfield touch-ups. Basically, this will be doing playfield touch-ups in preparation for doing a clear coat on the playfield. So how we're going to start this process is you need to strip the playfield. What I use is a playfield rotisserie, like this. You could also do this. You could clear the top side of your playfield with the playfield in the game, and then after you got the top side clear, pull your playfield out, leave the side rails on, and you could flip it over on a table and work on the underside. But ideally, a rotisserie is the way to go. And as you can see, mine here is just made out of parts from the hardware store. And where I got this idea was Ed Chung's website. Ed Chung came up with this idea for building this homebrew rotisserie, and a lot of guys have made one. Basically, it's just plumbing pipe parts, thread pipe parts, and some pieces of wood. Probably could build. I think I built this rotisserie for about $20. So definitely check out Ed's site, and if you have the space in your workshop to work on a playfield, this is the way to go, because you could just spin it around and work on both sides of the playfield. So here's my playfield. The playfield I'm going to be doing for this is a 1985 Williams Sorcerer. And this playfield is pretty played out. It's got a lot of wear on it. Basically anything I do to this playfield is going to be better than what it is right now. So we'll get into that a little bit. Again, I have the top and bottom side stripped. I think that's really the way to go. It makes the playfield, much easier. You can just, carry this around, put it where you need it. So I find it a lot easier to do it this way. It is more time consuming, but it's going to allow you to clean up all that stuff that you took off the bottom a lot easier. But either way, is up to you. But if you do want to clear the bottom, I'm going to cover a few pointers. In case you've never cleared the bottom of the playfield, I'll hit some pointers here. So the first thing you need to do is to get all the parts off the playfield, whether it be just the top side or the top side and the bottom side, whichever you prefer to do. I always prefer to strip the whole playfield. That allows me to really clean everything and get everything spick and span before I put it back on the playfield. So I do everything on my rotisserie here. I just take the playfield out of the game, pop it right on the rotisserie. And then I have this table here. This table here in my workshop right next to my rotisserie that I lay all my parts out on as I'm taking them off. Here's all the plastics. And everything's got a little baggie. And on that little baggie, I write on it with Sharpie what that is. Works out real nice with the screws. You can just take this bag of screws to your tumbler, dump it in, tumble it, and when the tumbling's done, just put the screws right back in this bag, and nothing gets, you don't get confused, nothing gets lost, nothing gets mixed up. So all the parts are nice and organized on here in little Ziploc bags. And then on the assemblies, first, before I pull the assemblies apart, next to my rotisserie here, I got this clipboard. And what I do with this clipboard is I write the wire colors down and the assembly that goes with those wires. So that way I can't mix it up. And then also any kind of diagrams I need, anything that's going to make me remember how to put everything back together easier, I write on this clipboard. Of course, the other tool that is most important would be the digital camera. You take a digital picture of everything as you're taking it apart on the playfield, and then you can refer to those pictures when you put it back together. Between that and my clipboard here and my organization here, it makes it a breeze to put everything back together. Now, after you get the assemblies off, then you need to get the wiring harness off the bottom. And here's what I do for that. Over here is my wiring harness. And you can see on my wiring harness, I got all these blue painter's tape. And that blue painter's tape is the wires that went to the assemblies. I just label them right on there with Sharpie what they are, so that when I go to put this back together, nothing's going to get confused. So this board here, what I do with this board is after I get everything unbolted from the bottom of the playfield on this wiring harness and all the wires unsoldered from like the GI strands and stuff, I just put this board next to my playfield, and then I can slide the wiring harness from my playfield right over to this board, and then I get this board out of the way, and normally I have a towel over it so it can't get disturbed while I'm working on the playfield. And that's how I strip the bottom side. Makes it real easy. It is time consuming, but it's really not that bad. You know, and as long as you take good notes and good pictures, it's a piece of cake to put back together. So here's our Sorcerer playfield. It's in pretty bad shape. You can see here, right here, right off this slingshot, that is a big area worn down the wood. Also this bonus area here, completely worn down the wood. And if you see, all these green inserts and all these red inserts here are supposed to have text on them. You know, these should say 10, 20, 30, 40. You can just see the top of the 50 and the 40, the 10, and a little bit of the 20 here. And then these are your bonus multipliers, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. They're basically totally worn off. So we're going to have to do something about these inserts, and the easiest way to deal with them is to buy one of these insert decal sheets. I think I got this for just under $20, I think. And it's got all the insert writing and the key lines on it. I normally don't use the key lines, I'll just paint them in myself. But the text, I can't paint text for nothing. So this is the way to go for me. For this, I normally don't like using these, but you know, what are my real choices here? I gotta do something. Like I said, anything that I do to this playfield is gonna be better than it is. You can see there's a lot of paint missing, a lot of crazing, cracking, stuff like that. All this kind of stuff is real easy to do, and I'll show you that once I get the touch up. But first, what you got to do is after you get everything stripped here, you're going to want to clean this. What I did to this is I wiped it down with a little Windex sprayed on a paper towel just to get some of the heavy gunk off, a lot of that black dust that ends up on the playfield. And then I used my magic eraser and rubbing alcohol. And then after that, that left the white residue of the magic eraser all over the playfield. I used Nuvis 2 on my Wen 4-inch buffer, little Nuvis 2 on my Wen 4-inch buffer, and this is what I was left with after that. You can see it's got a little bit of a shine to it. It actually looks probably tenfold better than it did when this playfield was still in the game. So we're already making progress. So now that we're all clean, we need to prepare the area to do my touch-ups. And what I do, I use my garage for that. I'm going to clear off my table. I'm going to move all these parts to another table because I like to use this table for my touch-ups. And once I get all set up, I'll show you my technique for doing touch-ups.